What if I told you that the most decorated detective in Los Angeles history was about to uncover a truth so devastating that it would shake the entire LAPD to its core? A truth hidden inside the walls of the very precinct where he worked for 23 years? Tonight you're about to witness the story of Detective Marcus Holloway, a man who solved over 200 cases, who never lost a suspect, who the media called the Ghost of LA, because criminals feared even his shadow. But on the night of October 14th, 1965, Marcus would make a discovery that would force him to question everything he ever believed about justice, loyalty, and the thin blue line. Because sometimes the real criminals wear badges. Stay with me, because this story has twists you won't see coming. And I want you to ask yourself one question as we go through this. Would you have the courage to do what Marcus did, even if it meant losing everything? Let's dive in. It was a cold Tuesday evening in downtown Los Angeles, the kind of night where the city smells like cigarette smoke and car exhaust, where the neon signs of jazz clubs reflect off rain-soaked pavement, and where most people are rushing home to catch the evening news on their black and white televisions. But not Marcus Holloway. At 52 years old, Marcus had seen it all. The Zoot Suit riots, the mob wars, the rise of organized crime families controlling everything from the docks to City Hall. He'd worked homicide, vice, organized crime, you name it. His record was spotless. His conviction rate, nearly perfect. Marcus was sitting in his office on the third floor of the Central Division Station, reviewing case files under the dim light of a desk lamp. His desk was covered with photographs, witness statements, and carbon-copied reports. He'd been working a cold case, a missing persons investigation from 1962, involving a woman named Sarah Chun, a 28-year-old bookkeeper who vanished after leaving her office in Chinatown. The case had gone cold 3 years ago. No body, no suspects, no leads, but Marcus couldn't let it go. See, that's what separated him from other detectives. While most cops moved on after a case went cold, Marcus treated every victim like they were his own family. He'd spend his nights, his weekends, his own money chasing ghosts. His wife, Linda, used to joke that he was married to the job. She stopped joking after the divorce. That night, Marcus was reviewing his notes for the 100th time. He'd tracked down every lead, interviewed every potential witness, walked Sarah's route home so many times he could do it blindfolded. But there was one detail that kept nagging at him. A witness misses, Eleanor Washington. An elderly woman who ran a flower shop on the corner had mentioned seeing Sarah talking to a man in a dark suit near the bus stop on that October evening in 1962. The description was vague, tall, white, well-dressed, could be anyone, but Mrs. Washington had said something else. Something Marcus had dismissed at the time but now felt significant. He had that look, detective, like a cop. You know what I mean? That way they stand. It was from Sarah's workplace photo from the file. The accounting firm's Christmas party in December 1961. Sarah stood in the back row, smiling, holding a cup of punch. But Marcus wasn't looking at Sarah anymore. He was looking at someone in the background, a man in a dark suit, slightly out of focus. But the stance, the build, it reminded Marcus of someone. He grabbed his magnifying glass and studied the photo more closely. The man's face was partially turned away, but on his wrist, just barely visible, was a watch. Not just any watch, a distinctive gold Bulova Accutron, the kind that cost a month's salary. The kind only a few cops in the department could afford. The kind worn by Detective Vincent Castellano. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Castellano was a legend in the LAPD, 30 years on the force, war hero. The man had personally busted 3 of the biggest mob operations, connected all the way to the mayor's office. He was untouchable. But what would Castellano be doing at Sarah Chun's office Christmas party? Marcus needed answer. He grabbed his fedora and his overcoat. He was heading for the records room to pull Castellano's case file when his office door opened. Lieutenant Rodriguez stepped in, closing the door behind him. A thick-necked man in his 40s with slicked back hair and a permanent scowl. Marcus had worked with him on a few cases over the years. Decent cop, but ambitious. The kind of guy who wanted to make captain before he turned 50. Working late, Holloway? Rodriguez asked, lighting a Lucky Strike cigarette. The orange glow illuminated his face in the dim office. Just finishing some paperwork, Marcus replied casually, sliding the photograph under a folder. You know how it is. Rodriguez took a long drag, exhaling smoke toward the ceiling. Funny thing, the night janitor mentioned you've been spending a lot of time on old files lately. Real old files. Cases from 62, 63. Marcus kept his expression neutral. Just routine follow-ups. Clearing the backlog. Rodriguez stepped closer, his shoes clicking on the linoleum floor. That's good, Marcus. Real good. Because you know what happens to detectives who waste time on dead cases. They end up with dead careers. And nobody wants that. He paused at the door, his hand on the knob. Department's changing, Marcus. New leadership coming in. Mayor Yorty's cleaning house. Smart cops are focusing on cases that matter, cases that make the brass look good. You understand what I'm saying? I understand, Marcus said evenly. Rodriguez smiled, but it didn't reach his eye. Good, because it'd be a shame to see a decorated detective like you get pushed into early retirement over some 3-year-old missing person nobody cares about. He opened the door, then added, Oh, and Marcus, Vincent Castellano's throwing a retirement party at the Pacific Dining Car on Friday. You should come. Show your respect. It's the smart move. The door closed, and Marcus was alone again. He sat in silence for a moment, his mind racing. That wasn't a friendly warning. That was a threat. Marcus looked down at the photograph, still partially visible under the folder. He pulled it back out and stared at the blurred figure in the background. If Castellano was involved in Sarah's disappearance, Marcus was stepping into something far bigger and more dangerous than a simple missing person case. He grabbed his coat and headed for the elevator. But instead of going to the records room, he was going to make a phone call to the only person in the department he still trusted completely, Detective Nina Vasquez, his former partner from his days in Vice. The phone booth outside the precinct was cold and smelled like stale beer and urine. Marcus dropped a dime in the slot and dialed Nina's number. It rang 4 times before she picked up. Vasquez. Her voice came through, professional and alert despite the late hour. Nina, it's Marcus. I need to talk. Not on this line. Can you meet me? There was a pause. When? Tonight. Clifton's Cafeteria, downtown. 1 hour. Marcus, what's this about? Sarah Chun. Another pause, longer this time. I thought that case was closed. So but did Marcus, I until tonight. The walls have ears these days. 1 hour. The line went dead. Marcus hung up and stepped out of the phone booth. The streets of downtown L.A. were quiet now, just a few cars passing by, their headlights cutting through the fog rolling in from the ocean. He could hear jazz music drifting from a club a few blocks away, the mournful sound of a saxophone carrying through the night air. He walked to his car, a 1963 Dodge Polara, forest green with a white top. Department issue. As he unlocked the door, he noticed something on his windshield, a note held in place by the wiper blade. Marcus looked around. The street was empty. He carefully removed the note and read it under the streetlight. The message was typed on a manual typewriter, the letters slightly uneven. Some graves are meant to stay closed. This is your only warning. Marcus crumpled the note in his fist. His jaw tightened. Someone was watching him. Someone knew he was digging into Sarah's case, and someone wanted him to stop. But Marcus Holloway had never backed down from a threat in his 23 years on the force, and he wasn't about to start now. He got in his car, started the engine, and headed toward Clifton's Cafeteria. The night was just beginning. Clifton's Cafeteria was a Los Angeles institution, a massive Art Deco building on Broadway with its famous neon sign glowing like a beacon in the night. Inside, it was all dark wood, brass fixtures, and red leather. The cafeteria was nearly empty at this hour, just a few late-night diners nursing coffee and picking at slices of coconut cream pie. Nina Vasquez was already there, sitting in a corner booth with a clear view of the entrance. She was 36 years old, sharp as a tack, with dark hair pinned up and eyes that missed nothing. She wore a navy blue dress and a coat draped over her shoulders. A cup of coffee sat untouched in front of her. Marcus slid into the booth across from her. "Thanks for coming. You said this was about Sarah Chun," Nina said quietly, her eyes scanning the restaurant. "I thought we closed that file." "We did, but I found something tonight." Marcus pulled out the photograph and slid it across the table. "Look at this. Sarah's office Christmas party, December 1961, 3 months before she disappeared." Nina studied the photo. "Okay, I see Sarah. Some co-workers. What am I looking for?" Marcus pointed to the blurred figure in the background. "That man. Gold Bulova Accutron watch. I think that's Vincent Castellano." Nina's head snapped up. "Castellano? The Castellano?" "I think so." "Marcus, that's a huge leap. The photo's blurry. You can barely see his face." "I know. But here's the thing. Mrs. Washington, the flower shop owner, said she saw Sarah talking to a man who looked like a cop the night she disappeared. And Sarah worked as a bookkeeper for Riverside Financial. That firm handles city construction contracts, harbor contracts, the kind of contracts that mob families would kill to control." Nina leaned back, her expression troubled. "You think Castellano was connected to organized crime?" "I think Sarah stumbled onto something she wasn't supposed to see, something in those books, and I think someone made her disappear because of it." "That's a serious accusation, Marcus. Castellano's a decorated officer. He's got commendations from 3 different mayors. If you're wrong about this, then I'll take the heat. But I need your help, Nina. I need to get into Sarah's old office, see if there are any records left. And I need someone watching my back, because someone's already trying to scare me off." He showed her the crumpled note. "Nina, read it," her jaw tightening. "Son of a bitch, they threatened you?" "Someone did. Could be Castellano. Could be Rodriguez. Could be someone higher up the chain. But they know I'm digging, and they want me to stop." Nina was silent for a long moment, staring at the photograph. Finally, she looked up at Marcus. "All right, I'm in. But we do this smart. No cowboy nonsense. We document everything. We build a case that's airtight, and then we take it to someone we can trust." "Who?" Marcus asked. "If Castellano's involved and Rodriguez is covering for him, who the hell can we trust?" "There's a new FBI field office in L.A., Nina said. Special Agent Morrison. She's heading up a task force on organized crime. She can take it out of LAPD hand." Marcus nodded. "Then that's our play. First thing tomorrow, we hit Riverside Financial. See what we can dig up." They sat in silence for a moment, both understanding the weight of what they were about to do. "Marcus," Nina said quietly, "if we're right about this, if Castellano really is dirty, this is going to tear the department apart. Are you ready for that?" Marcus thought about Sarah Chun, about her family still waiting for answers, about all the other cases that might have been buried or corrupted by officers who'd forgotten what the badge was supposed to mean. "Yeah," he said, "I'm ready." They left separately. Nina headed east toward her apartment in Boyle Heights. Marcus walked back to his car, parked a block away on Spring Street. The fog had gotten thicker, turning the streetlights into hazy orbs of yellow light. Marcus's footsteps echoed on the empty sidewalk. He reached his Polara and was unlocking the door when he heard it. Footsteps behind him, fast, purposeful. Marcus's hand went instinctively to his service revolver, a Smith and Wesson Model 10. But before he could draw, he felt the cold press of a gun barrel against the back of his head. Don't move, detective, a voice said. Male, young, nervous. Don't even breathe wrong, or I'll paint this sidewalk with your brains. Marcus froze, his hand still on the grip of his revolver. Let's talk about this. Easy, kid. Shut up, the voice snapped. You were warned. You were told to leave it alone. But you didn't listen. Who sent you? Marcus asked, keeping his voice calm. Rodriguez? Castellano? I said shut up. Marcus could hear the panic in the voice. This wasn't a professional hit. This was someone young and scared, probably a rookie cop pressed into service, which made it even more dangerous. Scared people made mistakes. Look, Marcus said slowly, I don't know what they told you, but killing a detective in the middle of downtown LA is going to bring heat you can't imagine. Every cop in the city will be looking for you. Is that really what you want? Wow, I don't have a choice, the kid's voice cracked. They said if I don't do this, they'll hurt my sister. They know where she works. They know where she lives. Marcus's mind was racing. He needed to de-escalate this. What's your name, kid? I can't. Your name. Give me that much. A pause. Tommy. Tommy Reeves. Okay, Tommy. Listen to me very carefully. I'm a detective. I've been doing this for 23 years. I can help you. But you need to put the gun down. I can't. They'll kill her. Who's they, Tommy? Give me names and I can protect both of you. I don't know all the names. I just know. I know Detective Castellano came to me last week. Said there was a detective asking too many questions about an important case. People. Said I needed to send a message. A message, Marcus repeated. And what kind of message did Castellano want sent? He said make it look like a robbery gone wrong. He gave me $500, half up front, half when it's done. Marcus felt his anger rising, but he kept his voice steady. Tommy, you're being used. They're setting you up to take the fall. The moment you pull that trigger, you become the patsy. They'll hang you out to dry. I don't have a choice. Yes, you do. Lower the gun. Come with me. We'll go to the FBI together. You testify against Castellano. They'll protect you and your sister. Federal protection. New identities. A fresh start. I don't know. Tommy, I'm going to turn around now. Slowly. Okay. Don't. I'm turning around. Marcus moved carefully, rotating until he was facing the kid. Tommy Reeves was maybe 22, uniform still crisp and baby-faced. His hands were shaking so badly, the revolver was wobbling. You're not a killer, Tommy, Marcus said gently. I can see it in your eyes. You're a good kid who got caught up in something bad, but it's not too late. Put the gun down. Let me help you. Tommy's face was wet with tears. The gun trembled in his hands. For a moment, Marcus thought he was getting through. Then headlights swept across them. A black sedan, a 1965 Cadillac Fleetwood, pulled up to the curb. Back window rolled down, and there sat Vincent Castellano. Even at 60 years old, Castellano was an imposing figure. Silver hair slicked back, hawk-like features, cold blue eyes that had seen too much death and caused even more. He wore an expensive suit, Savile Row, probably, and held a lit cigar between his fingers. Well, Castellano said, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. Marcus Holloway, still poking your nose where it doesn't belong. I see. Marcus kept his hands visible, his eyes locked on Castellano. Vincent, didn't know you were still working nights. Thought you were busy preparing for retirement. Castellano smiled, but it was the smile of a shark. Retirement's a funny thing, Marcus. You spend 30 years building something, you don't just walk away from it. You protect it. You make sure it continues after you're gone. Is that what you call it? Protection? I call it murder. Careful with that word, detective. Libel's a serious accusation. Marcus gestured toward Tommy. This kid says you hired him to kill me. That seems pretty serious too. Castellano's eyes flickered to Tommy, and the young officer visibly flinched. Officer Reeves is confused. The stress of police work can do that to a young man. Make him see things that aren't there. Say things that aren't true. He mentioned your name specifically, Vincent. Said you paid him $500 to make my death look like a robbery. And who would believe him? Castellano asked, taking a puff of his cigar. A rookie cop with a history of mental health issues. Yes, I know about the anxiety medication, Tommy, versus a decorated veteran of the LAPD. Please, the district attorney would laugh that case out of court. Marcus could see Tommy's hands shaking even harder now. The kid was realizing he'd been set up from the start. This is about Sarah Chun, isn't it? Marcus said, "What did she find, Vincent? What was in those books that was worth killing her for?" Castellano's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "I have no idea what you're talking about." She was a bookkeeper for Riverside Financial, a firm that handles city harbor contracts. Contracts that I'm betting involve some very interesting numbers. Numbers that don't quite add up. Skimming operations, maybe? Kickbacks to certain officers who make sure shipping containers don't get inspected too closely. You're reaching, Marcus, and it's going to get you killed. Is that a confession? That's a prediction. Castellano tapped ash from his cigar. Los Angeles is a dangerous city. Detectives die all the time. Heart attacks from stress. Car accidents on the freeway. Sometimes they even get shot by disturbed rookie officers who snap under pressure. Tragic. But these things happen. Marcus took a slow step forward. Here's what's going to happen, Vincent. I'm going to keep digging. I'm going to find Sarah's body. I'm going to find the evidence she collected. And I'm going to bring down everyone involved in this, you, Rodriguez, whoever else is part of your little operation. And there's nothing you can do to stop me. Castellano's smile vanished. His voice dropped to a whisper. You really want to die for some Chinese bookkeeper nobody cares about? For a case that's been cold for 3 years? I want to die knowing I did the right thing. Can you say the same? For a long moment, the two men stared at each other. Decades of history, mutual respect, turned to mutual contempt, hanging in the fog-shrouded air between them. Finally, Castellano said, Tommy, lower the gun. This isn't the time or place. Tommy looked confused. But you said, I said lower the gun. Castellano's voice cracked like a whip. Get in the car. We're leaving. Tommy hesitated, then slowly lowered the revolver. He stumbled toward the Cadillac, got in the back seat next to Castellano. Before the window rolled up, Castellano looked at Marcus one last time. You've got 48 hours, Marcus. After that, I can't guarantee your safety, or the safety of that pretty ex-partner of yours. Nina Vasquez, right? Lives on Boyle Avenue, apartment 3B. Marcus felt ice flood his veins. Castellano smiled. 48 hours. Walk away and everyone stays healthy. Keep digging and people start dying. Your choice, detective. The window rolled up. The Cadillac pulled away, its taillights disappearing into the fog. Marcus stood alone on the empty street, his heart pounding, his mind racing. They'd threatened Nina. That changed everything. He got in his car and drove straight to a payphone, dropped another dime and dialed. Vasquez, Nina answered, sounding sleepy. Nina, pack a bag, right now. You're in danger. Marcus, what Castellano knows about you. He knows where you live. He threatened you. You need to disappear for a few days until I can sort this out. There was a pause. Then Nina's voice came back, hard and determined. No, Nina. I said no, Marcus. I'm not running. If Castellano wants to threaten me, let him try. This isn't a game. These people kill witnesses. Then we'd better work fast, hadn't we? Where are you? Downtown, near Spring Street. Meet me at Riverside Financial. 30 minutes, and Marcus, bring your lockpicks. We're going in tonight. The line went dead. Marcus stood in the phone booth, torn between admiration for Nina's courage and terror at the thought of her getting hurt because of him. But she was right. They were running out of time. If they were going to expose Castellano and his operation, they needed evidence, hard evidence, the kind that couldn't be denied or dismissed. And if that evidence existed anywhere, it would be in Sarah Chun's old office. Marcus checked his watch. 2:47 a.m. The city was asleep. The perfect time for breaking and entering. He got back in his Polara and headed toward Koreatown. Riverside Financial occupied the third floor of a modest office building on Western Avenue. The kind of building that housed insurance agencies, bail bondsmen, and small accounting firms. Nothing fancy. Nothing that would attract attention, which made it perfect for hiding dirty money. Marcus parked his car a block away. Nina's car, a 1964 Ford Falcon, was already there, parked in the shadows between streetlights. She emerged from the darkness wearing dark slacks, a black turtleneck, and a leather jacket. She looked like she was dressed for a burglary, which Marcus reflected was exactly what they were doing. "You bring the pics?" she asked. Marcus nodded, pulling a small leather case from his coat pocket. "You sure about this? We go in there. We're breaking about a dozen laws. No warrant, no probable cause. Anything we find might not be admissible. Then we'll give it to the FBI and let them get a proper warrant. Come on, we're wasting time." They crossed the street and approached the building's back entrance. Marcus worked the lock while Nina kept watch. The mechanism was old, simple. It took him less than 30 seconds to get it open. Inside, the building was dark and silent. Their footsteps echoed on the marble floors. They found the stairs and climbed to the third floor, moving carefully, staying alert for any sounds of security guards or late-night workers. The door to Riverside Financial had RF Accounting stenciled on the frosted glass. Marcus picked this lock too, and they slipped inside. The office was exactly what you'd expect from a 1960s accounting firm. Rows of desks with typewriters, filing cabinets lining the walls, a water cooler in the corner. Everything frozen in time, like the place had been abandoned in a hurry. Where would Sarah have worked? Nina whispered. She was a junior bookkeeper, Marcus said, pulling out a small flashlight. Probably one of these desks in the main room. They split up, searching through desks and filing cabinets. Most of the files were mundane tax returns, payroll records, standard business documents. But then Marcus found something interesting. In a locked drawer of a desk near the back window, a drawer he had to pick, he found a folder labeled Harbor Contracts Confidential. Inside were dozens of invoices, receipts, and ledger pages, all related to shipments coming through the port of Los Angeles. But as Marcus studied the numbers, something didn't add up. The invoices showed containers arriving from Hong Kong, Singapore, Manila, electronics, textiles, machine parts, all legitimate cargo. But the weights were wrong. A container listed as carrying electronics weighing 50,000 pounds. Electronics didn't weigh that much, not unless those electronics were something much heavier, like weapons or gold or opium. "Nina," Marcus called softly. "I found something." She hurried over, and Marcus showed her the discrepancies. "Someone's using legitimate shipping containers as cover for smuggling," Nina said, her eyes widening. "And if Riverside Financial is cooking the books to hide the real cargo weights, then someone in the LAPD must be making sure those containers don't get inspected at customs," Marcus finished. "Which means payoffs, kickbacks, the whole corrupt chain. And Sarah Chun figured it out," Nina said quietly. "She must have noticed the weight discrepancies, started asking questions, maybe even made copies of these files to take to the authorities. And Castellano found out," Marcus added. "He couldn't let her expose the operation, so he had her killed." They kept searching. In another locked drawer, Nina found something even more damning. A small black notebook. Handwritten entries in neat, precise characters. Sarah's handwriting, based on samples from her personnel file. The notebook contained names, dates, amounts. V. Castellano, $15,000. March 1962. Rodriguez, $8,000. April 1962. Captain Morrison, $12,000. May 1962. Councilman Burke,
$25,000.
Hundreds of thousands of
June
dollars flowing to
1962.
cops, politicians,
Dozens
harbor
of entries.
officials. A ledger of payoffs
Nina
stretching
breathed.
back to 1960.
This isn't just Castellano.
This is a whole network. Sarah documented everything, Marcus said, feeling a mix of admiration and heartbreak for the young woman who died trying to do the right thing. She was building a case, and they killed her before she could deliver it. We need to get this to the FBI tonight. They were gathering the documents when Marcus heard it, the sound of a car engine outside. Headlights swept across the office windows. Someone's here, Nina hissed. Move! They ran toward the back exit, but before they reached it, the front door burst open. Multiple flashlights, multiple voices. LAPD. Nobody move. Marcus and Nina froze. Hands up, the evidence still clutched in Marcus's briefcase. Lieutenant Rodriguez stepped into view, gun drawn, a triumphant smile on his face. Behind him were 4 uniformed officers, all with weapons trained on the 2 detectives. Well, Rodriguez said. Breaking and entering, theft of private documents. I gotta say, Marcus, I'm disappointed. I thought you were smarter than this. How did you know we were here? Nina demanded. Rodriguez laughed. You think we didn't have this place watched? The moment you picked that back door lock, you triggered a silent alarm that goes straight to our communications center. Castellano's been expecting you to make a move like this. Marcus's mind raced. They'd been set up. Again. You can't cover this up, Rodriguez, Marcus said. That notebook has everything. Dates, amounts, names, it's all documented. That notebook? Rodriguez gestured to one of the officers, who stepped forward and ripped the briefcase from Marcus's hand. You mean this notebook that we're going to report was planted by you? Evidence tampering by a disgraced detective desperate to frame an honest cop because of a personal vendetta? No one will believe that. Everyone will believe it, because you're about to confess. Rodriguez nodded to the officers. 2 of them grabbed Marcus, slamming him against a desk. Pain exploded through his ribs. You're going to sign a statement admitting you falsified evidence, Rodriguez said, pulling out a typed document. You're going to confess that Sarah Chun's case drove you insane, that you developed a paranoid obsession with Detective Castellano, and that you manufactured evidence to frame him. I'm not signing anything, Rodriguez smiled and turned to the officers holding Nina. Break her arm? No, Marcus shouted. One of the officers grabbed Nina's right arm, twisting it behind her back. Nina cried out in pain. Sign the confession, Marcus, Rodriguez said calmly, or I let Officer Chun here snap her arm like a twig. Your choice. Marcus looked at Nina. Her face was contorted in pain, but her eyes were fierce, defiant. She shook her head slightly. Don't do it. But Marcus couldn't let her get hurt because of him. All right, he said. All right, I'll sign. Just let her go. Rodriguez smiled. Smart choice. He handed Marcus a pen. Marcus took it, his hand trembling with rage and helplessness. He looked down at the confession. Everything in it was a lie. If he signed this, Sarah Chun's murder would never be solved. Castellano and his network would continue operating. Justice would die, but Nina would be safe. Marcus put the pen to paper, and then the windows exploded inward. Glass shattered everywhere as ropes dropped from the roof. Dark figures rappelled down in perfect military precision. Federal agents in tactical gear stormed the office from every direction. FBI, drop your weapons. Hands on your heads. Now. Rodriguez's face went white. His officers hesitated, confused, looking to him for guidance. I said drop your weapons. The lead agent, a woman in her 40s with steel gray hair, aimed her weapon directly at Rodriguez's head. Don't make me repeat myself, Lieutenant. The LAPD officers complied, their guns clattering to the floor. Special Agent Morrison stepped forward, handcuffs already out. Lieutenant Rodriguez, you're under arrest for conspiracy, corruption, and obstruction of justice. Detective Vasquez, Detective Holloway, you're safe now. Marcus stood there, stunned. How did you? Morrison smiled slightly. Detective Vasquez called me 3 hours ago. Told me you'd discovered evidence of a major corruption ring, but needed time to gather documentation. She asked me to have a tactical team standing by in case things went sideways. She looked at Nina. Smart thinking, Detective. Nina, still being held by one of the corrupt officers, managed a pained smile. Always have a backup plan, Marcus. The FBI agents moved quickly, securing Rodriguez and his men, collecting the evidence, photographing everything. Morrison walked over to Marcus and handed him Sarah's notebook. Is this what I think it is? A complete ledger of payoffs going back 5 years, Marcus confirmed. Names, dates, amounts, everything you need to take down the whole network. Morrison's eyes lit up. Outstanding work, Detective, both of you. The Bureau's been investigating corruption in the LAPD for months, but we could never get solid evidence. This changes everything. What about Castellano? Marcus asked. He's the kingpin. If he gets wind of this, he'll disappear. Already taken care of, Morrison said. We have teams moving on 15 different addresses right now. Castellano, Councilman Burke, Captain Morrison, no relation, and a dozen others. By sunrise, this entire operation will be dismantled. Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real hope. But there was still one question that needed answering. Sarah Chun? Marcus said quietly. We still don't know where she is. Where Castellano buried her? Morrison's expression softened. Actually, Detective, we might. We've had Castellano under loose surveillance for weeks. 3 months ago, we observed him making multiple late-night trips to a construction site near the harbor, an old warehouse being renovated. We flagged it as suspicious, but didn't have enough evidence to search the property. Until now, Marcus said. Until now. I'll have a forensics team there at first light. The FBI escorted Rodriguez and his men out in handcuffs. Nina finally had her arm released, and Marcus could see her wincing as she rotated her shoulder. You okay? He asked. I'll live. That was close, though. Another minute, and I would have actually had to let them break my arm to sell the distress. You planned that? Nina shrugged. Had to keep you from signing that confession somehow. Figured if I looked hurt enough, you'd stall long enough for the cavalry to arrive. Marcus shook his head in amazement. You're insane. I'm thorough. There's a difference. As they walked out of Riverside Financial, the eastern sky was just beginning to lighten. Dawn was coming to Los Angeles. A new day. And for the first time in 3 years, Marcus felt like Sarah Chun might finally get the justice she deserved. But the night wasn't over yet. Special Agent Morrison offered them a ride to the harbor construction site. Marcus and Nina climbed into the back of a black FBI sedan. As they drove through the empty pre-dawn streets, Marcus stared out the window at the city he'd spent his entire adult life protecting. How much of it had been built on corruption? How many other cases had been buried or twisted by dirty cops? You're thinking too hard, Nina said quietly beside him. I'm thinking about how many times I trusted the wrong people, Marcus replied. How many cases might have been compromised without me knowing? That's not on you, Marcus. You're not responsible for other people's corruption, aren't I? I worked alongside these guys for years. Castellano, Rodriguez, Captain Morrison. I never saw it. Never even suspected. Nina leaned closer. Because you're not a cynic. You still believe in what the badge is supposed to represent. That's not a weakness, Marcus. That's what makes you a good cop. The sedan pulled up to the harbor area as the first rays of sunlight broke over the horizon. The construction site Morrison had mentioned was a massive warehouse complex near the water. Cranes and equipment stood like sleeping giants around half-finished structures. But one building in particular drew their attention, an old brick warehouse that looked like it dated back to the 1920s. FBI forensic teams were already there, setting up lights and equipment. Morrison led Marcus and Nina to the entrance. The building's foundation was poured 2 months after Sarah Chun disappeared, Morrison explained. If Castellano wanted to hide a body permanently, concrete would do it. Marcus felt his stomach turn. The thought of Sarah spending 3 years entombed in concrete, forgotten by everyone except her family and one obsessive detective, filled him with a cold rage. They entered the warehouse. The interior was cavernous, mostly empty, except for construction materials and scaffolding. The forensic team had set up ground-penetrating radar equipment near the back corner of the building. A young technician with thick glasses looked up from his equipment. "Agent Morrison, we've got something." Approximately 8 feet down, there's a density anomaly consistent with organic remains. Morrison turned to Marcus. "Do you want to be here for this?" Marcus nodded. "I owe it to her to see this through to the end." It took 3 hours. 3 hours of careful excavation, breaking through layers of concrete, digging through earth and rubble. The sun climbed higher, burning away the morning fog, and still they dug. Nina brought Marcus coffee from a nearby diner. He couldn't drink it. His hands were shaking. Finally, at 9:47 a.m., one of the forensic investigators called out, "We've got remains." Everyone stopped. A heavy silence fell over the site. Marcus and Nina approached carefully. In the bottom of the excavation pit, barely visible through the dirt, was a skeletal hand, still wearing a jade bracelet. Marcus pulled out Sarah's missing persons file. There was a photograph of her at her office desk. She was wearing the same bracelet. "It's her," Marcus said, his voice thick. "It's Sarah." The forensic team continued their careful work, documenting everything, preserving evidence. It would take days to fully process the scene, but they'd found her. After 3 years, Sarah Chen was finally coming home. Marcus stepped away from the pit, overwhelmed by a mixture of grief and relief. Nina followed him. "You did it," she said. "You found her. You brought her home." Marcus nodded, not trusting himself to speak. They stood there in silence for a while, watching the forensic team work, watching the sunlight glitter on the harbor water beyond the warehouse. Then Morrison approached, her expression grim. "Detectives, we just got word from the teams executing the arrest warrants. There's been a complication." Marcus turned. "What kind of complication?" "Vincent Castellano is dead." The words hung in the air like a punch. "What happened?" Nina asked. "Our team arrived at his house in Hancock Park at 6:15 a.m. Found him in his study, single gunshot wound to the head. His service revolver on the desk beside him. There was a note." Morrison handed Marcus a clear evidence bag. Inside was a typewritten letter on expensive stationery. "To whom it may concern, I have served the city of Los Angeles for 30 years. I have done what was necessary to keep this city running, to keep the peace, to ensure that the machinery of justice continued to function in an imperfect world. But I see now that my methods, however effective, have been judged unacceptable by those who do not understand the realities of power and survival. Rather than face the humiliation of a trial and the destruction of my reputation, I choose to exit on my own terms. I regret nothing. Vincent Castellano?" Marcus read it twice, then looked up at Morrison. "You believe this was suicide?" Morrison's expression was carefully neutral. "What makes you think it wasn't?" "Because Castellano wasn't the type to take the easy way out. The man I knew would have fought this every step of the way, hired the best lawyers money could buy, called in every favor he'd accumulated over 30 years. He wouldn't just give up unless he knew there was no way out," Nina suggested. "The evidence we collected is ironclad. Maybe he realized fighting was pointless, but Marcus wasn't convinced. Or maybe someone higher up the chain decided Castellano was too much of a liability. Maybe they silenced him before he could start making deals, naming names." Morrison considered this. "It's possible. The crime scene is being processed now. If there's evidence of foul play, we'll find it." She paused. "But even if Castellano was silenced, the investigation doesn't stop. We have the notebook. We have the financial records. We're still going after everyone else in the network." Over the next 2 weeks, the dominoes fell.
12 LAPD officers arrested,
4 city council members, 7 harbor officials, 2 federal customs agents. The corruption network that had operated for nearly a decade was dismantled, piece by piece. Rodriguez cut a deal, testified against the others in exchange for a reduced sentence. He'd spend 15 years in federal prison instead of life. Captain Morrison, the LAPD captain, not the FBI agent, refused to cooperate, went to trial, got 30 years. Councilman Burke fled the country. Last anyone heard, he was somewhere in Mexico. The FBI was still looking for him. The case became national news. Newspapers ran headlines like LAS shame. Congressional hearings were held of the city of Angels. The LAPD underwent massive reform. Entire divisions were investigated and restructured. And through it all, Marcus Holloway remained focused on one thing: giving Sarah Chun's family closure. The forensic analysis confirmed the remains were Sarah's. She'd died from blunt force trauma to the head. Quick, probably didn't suffer much, the medical examiner said, though Marcus knew that was small comfort. Sarah's family held a funeral, a proper one this time now that they had her remains. Marcus attended, standing in the back of the small church in Chinatown. He watched Sarah's elderly mother weep over the casket, watched her younger brother place a photograph of Sarah on top of the flowers. After the service, Sarah's mother approached Marcus. She was a tiny woman, barely 5 feet tall, with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much sorrow. She took both of Marcus's hands in hers and spoke in halting English. "Thank you. Thank you for not forgetting my daughter. Thank you for bringing her home." Marcus felt tears on his own cheeks. "I'm sorry it took so long, ma'am. I'm sorry I couldn't save her." Sarah's mother shook her head. "You gave her justice. You gave her peace. That is everything." She pressed something into Marcus's hand. It was Sarah's jade bracelet, the one she'd been wearing when she died, the one that had helped identify her remains. "She would want you to have this," the old woman said, to remember that one person can make a difference." Marcus tried to refuse, but she insisted, so he took the bracelet, promising to honor Sarah's memory by never giving up on any victim, no matter how long it took or how powerful the people who wanted them forgotten. Nina was waiting for him outside the church. "How are you holding up?" "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "I keep thinking about all the time that was wasted." 3 years, Nina. She was down there for 3 years, while the people who killed her walked around free, collecting paychecks, acting like heroes, but we got them in the end. "That has to count for something." Marcus nodded. "Yeah, it counts." They walked together through the streets of Chinatown, past the restaurants and shops decorated with red lanterns, past families and merchants going about their daily lives, unaware of the battle for justice that had been fought on their behalf. "What are you going to do now?" Nina asked. "What do you mean?" "Come on, Marcus, you know what I mean? After everything that's happened, after exposing the corruption, you can't just go back to business as usual. The department's never going to be the same." Marcus had been thinking about this. The truth was, he wasn't sure he wanted to be part of the LAPD anymore. Not after everything he'd seen, not after learning how deep the rot went. "I've been thinking about retiring," he admitted. "Maybe opening a private investigation firm. Focus on cold cases, the ones the department's given up on." Nina smiled. "I figured you'd say something like that, which is why I've been thinking about leaving too." Marcus stopped walking. "What, Nina, you can't? Why not?" "You think I want to work in a department where I constantly have to wonder if the cop next to me is on someone's payroll, where I have to question every order, every case assignment?" She shook her head. "I'm done, Marcus. If you're starting a pie firm, I want in partners, 50-50. We go after the cases nobody else will touch." Marcus looked at his former partner, this woman who'd risked everything to help him expose the truth, and he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope for the future. "Partners," he agreed, shaking her hand. "But I picked the office location. Deal. As long as it's not in some sketchy neighborhood." I was thinking somewhere near downtown, maybe Bunker Hill. Perfect. When do we start? Marcus looked down at the jade bracelet in his hand, Sarah's bracelet, a reminder of why this work mattered. Tomorrow, he said. We start tomorrow. But first, there was one more piece of unfinished business. That evening, Marcus drove to Vincent Castellano's house in Hancock Park. The estate had been seized by the FBI as part of their investigation, but Marcus had gotten permission from Agent Morrison to visit the property. He needed to see it, needed to understand. The house was exactly what you'd expect from a corrupt cop who'd been skimming millions over the years. A sprawling Mediterranean-style mansion with manicured lawns, a fountain in the circular driveway, and a 3-car garage filled with classic automobiles. Marcus walked through the empty rooms, his footsteps echoing on marble floors. In the study where Castellano had died, he found traces of the investigation chalk outlines, evidence markers, fingerprint powder on surfaces. He stood where Castellano had sat, looking at the desk where the revolver had been found, looking at the leather chair where a decorated detective had taken his last breath. And Marcus felt nothing. No satisfaction. No sense of victory. Just a hollow awareness that justice had been served, but the price had been high. He was about to leave when he noticed something. A loose floorboard under the desk, partially lifted by the forensic team but not fully removed. Marcus knelt down and pulled up the board. Underneath was a small metal box, locked, but the lock was simple, and Marcus still had his pics. Inside the box were photographs, dozens of them. Pictures of Castellano with various People City officials, business owners, men in expensive suits smoking cigars at private clubs. Evidence of the network that had funded his lifestyle. But one photograph caught Marcus's attention. It showed Castellano and 3 other men on what looked like a yacht. They were all smiling, toasting with champagne glasses. The date stamp on the photo read July 4th, 1962, 3 months before Sarah Chun disappeared. One of the men in the photograph was Councilman Burke. Another was Captain Morrison. But the third man, Marcus's blood ran cold. The third man was Mayor Sam Yorty, the mayor himself. Marcus stared at the photograph, his mind reeling. If the mayor was involved, if the corruption went all the way to the top of city government, then this case was far from over. The people they'd arrested were just the middle management. The real power, the real architects of this criminal enterprise were still out there. Marcus carefully pocketed the photograph. He'd need to show this to Agent Morrison. They'd need to expand the investigation, go higher, dig deeper. Because, as it turned out, Vincent Castellano's network was even bigger than anyone had realized. And somewhere out there, someone had decided Castellano knew too much. Someone had silenced him before he could reveal the full extent of the conspiracy. Someone very powerful. Someone who thought they were untouchable. But Marcus Holloway had learned something important over the past few weeks. No one was untouchable. Not if you were willing to fight hard enough, sacrifice enough, risk everything for the truth. As he left Castellano's mansion and drove back into the city, Marcus thought about Sarah Chun, about her courage in documenting the corruption she'd discovered, about how one person standing up against overwhelming odds could change everything. The jade bracelet on his wrist caught the light from passing street lamp, a reminder, a promise. Justice was patient, justice was persistent, and justice in the end always found a way. 3 months later, Mayor Yorty announced he would not be seeking re-election, citing health concerns and a desire to spend more time with family. The FBI had questioned him extensively about his connections to the smuggling operation, but without concrete evidence linking him directly to criminal activity, they couldn't make charges stick. But the photograph Marcus found had been leaked to the press. The public knew. And in the court of public opinion, Yorty had already been convicted. The new mayor promised reform, oversight committees, independent investigations, a complete reorganization of the police department. Would it be enough? Marcus didn't know. Corruption had a way of adapting, of finding new cracks to seep through. But at least now there were people watching, people who wouldn't look away when they saw something wrong. As for Marcus and Nina, their private investigation firm, Holloway and Vasquez Investigations, opened its doors in October 1966, exactly 1 year after Marcus had first spotted that Crown Victoria in the surveillance footage. Their first client was an elderly woman whose son had disappeared in 1964. The police had given up after 6 months, called it a runaway situation, but the mother knew better, and she'd heard about the 2 detectives who'd brought down the biggest corruption scandal in LA history. The 2 detectives who never gave up. Marcus looked at Nina across their small office, just 2 desks, a filing cabinet, and a coffee maker that barely worked, and smiled. "You ready for this?" he asked. Nina picked up her notepad and pen. Always, let's go find her son. And so they did, because that's what they did. That's what they would always do. They fought for the forgotten. They spoke for the silenced. They sought justice for those the system had failed. One case at a time, one victim at a time, one truth at a time. And in a city as big and complicated and morally ambiguous as Los Angeles, there was always another case, always another person who needed someone to care, always another fight worth fighting. Marcus touched the jade bracelet on his wrist one more time, then stood up and grabbed his fedora. "Let's go to work, partner." They walked out into the bright Los Angeles sunshine, ready for whatever came next, because the fight for justice never really ends. It just finds new warriors to carry it forward. And Marcus Holloway, the detective who'd surprised every cop in the city by refusing to look away from corruption, was just getting started. So let me ask you one final question. Would you have had the courage to do what Marcus did? To risk everything, your career, your safety, your life, to expose the truth? Because the world doesn't need perfect heroes. It just needs people who refuse to give up when giving up would be easier. It needs people who remember that every victim matters, every case matters, every truth matters. People like Marcus Holloway, people like Nina Vasquez, people like Sarah Chun, who died trying to expose corruption. Maybe, just maybe, people like you. Think about it. Because somewhere out there right now, someone needs a person who cares enough to fight for them. Will you be that person? The choice, as always, is yours.